Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Well, in Tasmania, the peak housing body says Jacqui Lambie has helped to create an unprecedented opportunity to free the state from an historical housing burden. Her efforts to broker a new deal could see millions of dollars flowing into the state's coffers, already gaining support from unexpected places.
Just 1 week back, roaming the halls of Parliament, Tasmanian Senator Jacqui Lambie already making her demands loud and clear.
I can tell you now, 18 months out there, they absolutely had a gutful of no decisions being made up here and getting things done and getting the job done, getting on with it and delivering.
Today, winning the praise of the state's peak housing body, insisting the federal government wipe Tasmania's $157 million housing debt in return for her crucial vote on controversial tax cuts.
And we get the results that we need to for Tasmania so I can get those people off the streets and get them and their kids into housing and make sure they've got a roof over their heads.
Public and community housing is the most affordable for people in the long term. We just are crying out for more housing, so we really need that debt to be gone.
Senator Lambie finding an ally in another rebel voice, Liberal Speaker Sue Hickey. The staunch housing advocates already meeting to discuss ways forward.
I think we're both a little on the feisty side and we're both sort of not really interested in the politics of things. We just want to see outcomes, and I think there we've probably got a lot of things in common.
Saying it's time for government action.
On behalf of the Tasmanian community, I thank Jacqui Lambie for her advocacy for Tasmania. It sits very neatly with the efforts that we as a government have been putting forward as well.
The Minister today at odds with Tasmanian Liberal colleague Erica Betts, who last month said waiving the housing debt would be encouraging bad behaviour. But these two renegades are already taking politics into their own hands.
I'm doing everything I possibly can to make sure that we get money down there as quickly as possible.
I think she's the right person in the right place at the right time, and I just say go girl.
Sue Hickey still deciding if it's the right place and the right time for her to turn fully independent. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
A man found guilty of murdering a Launceston resident in 2017 is expected to learn his fate tomorrow. Mark Rodney Jones faced the Launceston Supreme Court for sentencing submissions today. Prosecutors argued Jones should have known his actions were likely to cause death after he held a plastic bag over the head of Bradley Breward. His defence maintained the murder was not premeditated. Co-offender Ricky John Izard is also expected to be sentenced tomorrow after pleading guilty to manslaughter. The Melbourne Cup may be several months away, but the hype surrounding the historic event has begun. For the first time, Tasmania had the honour of launching the Golden Trophy's global pre-race tour.
It's the iconic symbol of the race that stops a nation. And to those who share in its history, being part of kickstarting its 17th annual tour was a true honour.
He just come off the boat this morning and it's already been out to Devonport Racecourse and now to the Latrobe Primary School here and moves down south to Hobart. So to start what's a long tour here has been very well received.
Trinder etched his name into racing history when Mystic Journey took out the inaugural All-Star Mile, the richest race on turf.
Mystic Journey over Hartnell and Elise, Tassie over the Great Godolphin.
The trainer of the famous filly and now Cox Plate favourite joining racing legend John Letts as 400 Latrobe Primary School students listened to the 2-time Melbourne Cup winning jockey relive the moments he says never fade. First riding Piping Lane to victory in 1972.
Piping Lane has moved up, got his head in front of Magnifique. Wide out Stormy Season Gun Cinder, but Piping Lane has won the money. A boil over.
The 18-carat Gold Cup is certainly an eye-catcher. It's worth $200,000.
Oh, very special. It's fantastic. Sort of the children are really involved in what our family's been able to achieve in winning the Melbourne Cup. So to bring the cup here and a celebration of it is just terribly honourable.
Latrobe is one of 39 destinations across 6 countries, which will have the cup visit while on its 2019 tour.
Look, when you go to schools and we talk to them, some of the kids walk out and say, "That's what I want to be. That's what I want to be. I want to be a jockey."
And with a bit of luck, its 2 days in Tassie will inspire another future winner. Jessie Gilmore, 7 Tasmania News.
A Devonport woman in her 30s is recovering in the Mersey Community Hospital after being diagnosed with the meningococcal disease. She's the fourth person in Tasmania to contract the disease this year. Antibiotics have been given to her closest contacts to minimise further infection. Doctors are urging anyone with symptoms, including fever or confusion, to seek urgent medical attention. School cleaners will return to work tomorrow, ending a 3-week protest which saw 2 Tasmanian schools close due to health and safety concerns. The industrial action saw cleaners refusing to complete their duties as part of the ongoing wages dispute with the government. But at midnight, their protests will come to an end after receiving a call from the Education Minister for further discussions. Tensions between the parties remain high, with the union now fighting a government decision to bring in contract cleaners to fill the gaps left by strike action. The Perth Link upgrade is on track, according to those behind the $92 million project. Newly minted Infrastructure Minister Michael Ferguson met with construction bosses today.
This, I think, is an opportunity to show off just how far along we've come with our Midlands Highway Upgrade Action Plan. We're now halfway through the 10-year vision that we have for a safer, more efficient Midland Highway, which connects Burnie right through to Hobart.
The 10-year roads overhaul will be completed by 2021. A Tasmanian researcher has returned from an epic mission cleaning up one of the world's most remote beaches. She led an expedition to Henderson Island, deep in the South Pacific, to what's thought to be the place with the highest density of plastic pollution.
In one of the most remote corners of the world, Henderson Island should be pristine, but every inch of coastline feels the impact of humans thousands of kilometres away.
Henderson is certainly recognised as one of the world's most polluted islands, and that's pretty remarkable considering how remote it is and the fact that it's never been inhabited by humans.
Tasmanian researcher Dr. Jennifer Lavers has just returned from a clean-up mission to the island, collecting 6 tonnes of rubbish from the shoreline. Before and after pictures showing the huge task they completed.
You expect it to be the iconic tropical oasis, and instead it's completely covered in fishing floats and everyday consumer items, plastic bottles, toothbrushes.
The island is located near the South Pacific Gyre, a swirling ocean current that traps and dumps huge amounts of rubbish on its shores. This expedition, they found 1,200 buoys, more than a tonne of rope and fishing nets, and 2 tonnes of plastic, like crates and drink bottles.
There's so much we can and should be doing, each and every one of us, and it's Plastic-Free July, so it's the perfect time to start if you're not already on board.
Due to access issues, some of the bagged rubbish had to be left behind, to be picked up on a future journey to one of the world's most remote and polluted beaches. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian teenager with a passion for gaming could be $2 million richer later this month after winning a coveted place at the inaugural Fortnite World Cup. But standing in his way will be 49 other teams desperate to impress at an event that attracts gaming fans from across the globe.
From the Apple Isle to the Big Apple, Caelan Jarvis plays the gaming phenomenon Fortnite up to 8 hours a day. And his commitment is paying off after securing a berth in the duo section of the World Cup finals in New York City.
There's been no other World Cup before for Fortnite. This is the first one, but there's been heaps of other tournaments, like another one in Melbourne that I participated in, and many in America.
Serpent, as he's known in the online realm, will walk away with $2 million if he claims the major prize. He'll earn $50,000 just for turning up and competing in front of a global audience at Arthur Ashe Stadium, a space usually reserved for Grand Slam tennis. It's pretty good pocket money for a 17-year-old.
It's pretty huge. It's changed gaming completely, I think. Not sure I'd spend it. I'm just planning on saving it at the moment.
Dad Michael couldn't be prouder. He says Fortnite is serious business, despite the scare campaigns.
Esports worldwide is huge, and we can't change that, so I don't try and fight against it, just let him do the best he can and be the best person he can at it.
The Fortnight World Cup kicks off on July 26. Andrew McCarthy, 7 Tasmanian News.
If you've been struggling with sugar cravings, you might want to look away now. Students from 5 Tasmanian schools have spent the afternoon locked in a battle to win over the sweet tooth of judges.
Their hands might be full with frozen desserts, but make no mistake, this is a heated competition.
So I'm making a recipe I actually had to design myself, but I'm doing a white chocolate and kiwi fruit cheesecake.
These students have swapped the classroom for a commercial kitchen inside the Country Club Casino. The mission? Come up with a treat so irresistible, judges will have to include it on the menu.
I've made a orange and mandarin mousse. I like it. It's a little bit sick of it. Made it so many times, but I like it. It's really good.
The Beacon Foundation has been running the competition for 5 years now. Even the casino's boss came down to take a peek.
I can't wait to taste it. It looks good. Some really nice ideas there, and it's quite evident that the students have actually put a lot of work into it.
But looks can be deceiving.
I guess that's where it all comes from, though, isn't it? It's like that first bite's taken by the eye, so if it looks good, it could play a trick on your mind to actually, you might think it tastes good and it might not even be there.
Although the best word of advice might still come from those learning the ropes.
If you make it too sweet, people won't be able to eat lots, and we all want to eat lots of dessert. It's kind of the best meal.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
North Hobart's coach has launched a spirited defence of his fellow TSL teams after a cross-river rival came under fire for its poor showing this season. Richard Robinson is urging past players to join the rebuild at Clarence rather than criticising from the sidelines.
Clarence has just one win in 2019, prompting club legend Blair Brownless to question the club's list strategy in recent years. But the Roos have found an unlikely ally at North Hobart, who are working on a rebuild of their own.
I just get frustrated with people on the outside are commenting on what's happening at their club when they haven't been there for 20 years. If you've got some criticism of your former club, why don't you get your hands dirty and go back there and help them out?
Clarence coach Jeremy Webberley says Brownless has reached out in recent days. He concedes the rapid loss of Roos players at their mid-20s peak is alarming after years of success. And while he's confident the club will turn it around, he says the problem extends beyond Blunston Arena.
Life has changed and priority of people has changed. So we can do things to help keep those guys around, but I think there's a bit of an issue there.
He hopes the return of a Devils VFL side will give the next batch of 20-somethings a reason to stay.
If a kid doesn't want to go interstate, or a player doesn't want to go interstate, and they're playing TSL footy, there's no carrot beyond TSL footy. So once they've played a little bit, or they're in and out, or they're on the fringe, there's no drive for them anymore.
On Saturday, today's friends will again become foes when Clarence travel to North Hobart, the only team they've defeated all season.
I think the rivalry this week will be there because they have it at junior level. They're only playing juniors last year, so that's going to be exciting and see, I suppose, how it evolves over the next 3 or 4 years.
We've just got to make sure that we actually hit the scoreboard when we get it inside and make the most of our opportunities, because there's nothing greater than scoreboard pressure. So if we can put enough scoreboard pressure on them, it gives us a chance to win the game.
Andrew McCarthy, 7 Tasmania News.
To netball, and Kingston's Greta Shelton says the Blues are peaking at the perfect time ahead of this week's match against ladder leaders, the Cavaliers. And while the hosts are confident and fully fit, history is against them after losing to Cavs by 28 goals in round 9.
They bring a great intensity to every game that they play, and they ride you through absolutely every ball. So you can always expect that from them, and I think if we want to steal the win, then the best thing to do is just match that with them.
Meanwhile, the Northern Hawks will be favourites against Cripps in their Melanoma Awareness fundraising round.
We're making our money through auctioning off our dresses, so that'll start from today, and people will be able to donate and bid on Facebook, so hopefully we can get some support behind the players and raise as much funds as we can.
In the weekend's final match, cellar dweller Devon will be out for bragging rights against Karana.
Good evening. Well, on July the 4th, normally we have a big celebration about America, but we've got something even more important tonight. The Melbourne Cup is in town. Not only the Melbourne Cup, but 2 times Cup-winning jockey. You rode over 2,300 winners. Johnny Letts. John, welcome along.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. It's great to be here. Every time I come to Tassie, I feel real good.
Well, you're going to be here for a short while with the Melbourne Cup before a great big trip right around Australia and around the world. Tell us about what's happening.
39 destinations, 6 countries. She travels all that way and then she gets back to Melbourne. On Melbourne Cup Day, she'll be there in the mounting yard, and this is the actual cup that will be there and will be presented to the lucky owner, and they'll either take it away or it'll stay in Australia, but it's a brand new cup every year.
$200,000 worth. You sure they trust you with that, John?
Well, we've got security with us, Pete, but I think he's watching me and not watching everyone else.
Well, I hope you love the weather while you're down here, mate.
Yeah, look, Pete, I was listening to your weather report earlier and you said, you know, it's going to be hot tomorrow and then again it could be cold on the other hand, so I wore a glove.
Well, covering all bets. And that's what we need to do, bet on the winner of the Melbourne Cup. Responsibly, though, of course, John. Thanks for joining us. Let's have a look around the state today as far as the weather goes. Temperatures range from -6 at Lyowini to a high of 15 at Devonport and King Island. Hobart 12 today, Launceston 11 and Burnie 13 degrees. And even though it felt cold, temperatures remain close to average. Friendly Beaches and Flinders Island 14, Low Head and St Helens 13 today, Strawn 12 and Ooze 10 degrees. Some low cloud drifted over the north of the state today and also the surrounding waters, but mostly clear skies across the state. There is extensive cloud over waters to the south and east of the continent. It covers most of Queensland, and a cold front is crossing Western Australia. That also has a strong band of cloud with it. Tomorrow the high moves slowly to the east over the Tasman Sea. The cold front heads for South Australia. Winds east to northeasterly at 10 to 20 knots over the north, reaching 25 knots over the northwest, but only at 10 to 15 knots over the east and south. What's in store for us tomorrow? A partly cloudy 13 for Hobart, a morning frost for Huonville, 14 the top, 13 the high for Campania. Launceston, a coolish start, 1 overnight, 13 the top and partly cloudy. Maybe a shower for Devonport, 13 also for Georgetown. As we look towards Burnie, showers increasing later in the day, 13 the top, a sunny day for Strawn in the west, 15 the maximum and 13 for Wynyard, while for St Helens a top of 14 with a shower or two, bit of cloud over Swansea, a cool day for Port Arthur and 12 degrees. On Saturday, showers over the north, clearing in the afternoon, fine for the rest of the state, fine and partly cloudy on Sunday, maybe a shower developing over the northwest in the afternoon, and on Monday showers to start us off before contracting to the west and far south later. Showers again in Perth tomorrow, a sunny 19 in Adelaide, sunny in Melbourne after some fog to start the day, showers for Sydney and Brisbane. Clear and cool in Hobart, 6 at the moment, 9 right now in Launceston, Devonport clear and 9 degrees. And tonight's energy saving tip from the staff at Aurora Energy, well fitted curtains and blinds will help prevent heat loss, and maybe wear an extra layer of clothing rather than cranking the heat right up. Or do what I do, Joe, miss a couple of haircuts and you can keep nice and warm on top. Look at all that. Beautiful.
You are a little shaggy at the moment. Thank you very much for that, Murph. It's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. See you a bit later. Bye-bye.